What's up, everyone? It's Ryan, and I'm here with Ian straight out of Boston, aka the King of Boston. What's up?
What's up, guys?
And we are doing episode 6, the final episode of the divisions. We're doing the NL West today. So, this is a pretty interesting division, so we'll get right into this one. So, I'll let you talk about the San Francisco Giants.
All right, so the San Francisco Giants, coming off of a World Series title, obviously, had a relatively quiet offseason. They re-signed Angel Pagan, or Angel Pagan, I think it's Angel. They re-signed World Series MVP Marco Scutaro. They let Melky Cabrera go. They also re-signed Santiago Casilla, Andres Torres, and Jeremy Casilla. So this team did not really have a huge offseason, as you could tell. Their only significant move was letting Melky go, and Melky wasn't even on the team for the second half of the year last year. So really, you're looking at a team with pretty much the same roster that went into the playoffs last year. And this is a team with a lot of questions surrounding it. Can guys like Margot Scutaro keep up their hot streaks? Can Lincecum bounce back? Can Brandon Belt become the first baseman that everyone wants him to be? He's hitting like 372 this spring, so looking like good signs for him. But there really isn't much to say about this team, quite frankly. It is just a very similar team. They're building off of their formula of success from the last year, and I think that they should have another good season this year.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, Buster Posey, he's a beast still.
Of
And
course.
the rotation looks pretty nice with Kane and Bumgarner, and then maybe Lincecum, I guess, but Vogelsong's always pretty consistent.
Yeah, I
So
mean, Vogelsong, Kane, and Bumgarner, it's a pretty good top of the rotation right there.
yeah, I mean, and Buster Posey and Sandoval and Angel Pagan, that's pretty decent right there. And like you said, if Brandon Belt and Marcus Scutaro can have nice years again, or well, if at least Brandon Belt can have a nice year, that'll be a pretty good lineup, I think.
Yeah, I really like this lineup. If some guys can keep doing what they're doing, I really think Marco Scutaro has a good chance to continue his hot streak because really he went under the radar. He hit like 330 or something in the last half of 2011 for the Red Sox, and then hit pretty well for the Rockies at the beginning of last year. But he just he's on the Rockies, was really under the radar. The Giants got a steal out of that deal, and really he had a good second half, and then eventually propelled that into the playoffs where he was finally kind of on the main stage, and everyone started to realize like, holy crap, this guy's really good. So, he's 37, so there could be some concerns of age and decline there, but I really don't see it. He seems like he's picked it up the last kind of half of his career, so I really do like Marco Scutaro's chances to do well again. Like I said, Brandon Belt's been really good this season, at least so far this spring training, and Buster Posey's Buster Posey. It's pretty much all I have to say about him. When healthy, he's probably the best catcher in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
Um, Although that's up for debate, of course, but and then Angel Pagan, pretty good center fielder. You look, I don't know who's going to replace Melky out there in left. We'll see. But I really like this lineup. It's a good, solid lineup. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, and I think the bullpen is also a really major factor of this team with Romo. Isn't Sergio Romo having a I don't know, like a questionable spring or something like that?
Well, I think the
Or,
concern with him is he had a couple appearances in the World Baseball Classic where he threw 20 plus pitches, and I don't think the Giants were too happy about that. So I can't remember exactly what team he was on, but he is back in camp, I believe, and I think he pitched the other day or whatever. But anyway, I think the concern with him is he was just maybe a little bit overworked in the World Baseball Classic, and I don't know. I don't look too much into things like the World Baseball Classic. There's a lot of different circumstances that you can't really account for when looking at guys like that. So I wouldn't really look too big into it, but I think Romo's still going to be solid. What do you think about Brian Wilson? Do you think they should try to get Brian Wilson back?
I mean, at this point, no, because I mean, like I've heard throughout the whole spring, his velocity's been really down. He's only been able to throw like 88, but I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't bring him back. But obviously, Romo's your closer now, so I don't know if there's really a point in bringing Brian Wilson back. And obviously, if a team like the Mets doesn't even want to sign him, I don't think he's looking too good right now.
Yeah, I've heard Wilson. He had a workout with the Mets about a month ago, and he wasn't even hitting 90 on the radar gun, from what I heard. So I really don't see, and I think the Giants bullpen's solid for what it is at this point. I mean, like you said, Sergio Romo. They got lefty specialists like Javier Lopez and Jeremy Adfeld. Santiago, what's his name? Santiago Casilla, I believe.
Santiago Garcia.
Yeah, I always get those like Spanish names mixed up. He's pretty good, so I really like this team. It's a very good all-around team. Good defensively too. Brandon Crawford, very good defensively at short. Same with Angel Pagan at center, Angel Pagan, whatever. And it's just a really good team.
Blanco and left.
Yeah, and even Hunter Pence isn't too bad in right. And if he has a bounce back year, then this offense is going to be bona fide. I mean, it's looking really good right now.
Bonafide.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that despite this NL West being so deep this year, well, at least in my opinion,
Yeah.
I think that the Giants have a good chance of at least winning this division, if not getting a wild card spot and getting another World Series ring. I don't see why they can't get another one.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, they're just building off the success that they had last year.
Yep. So let's go to our predictions now, and I'll go first. I have the Giants, if I can find them. Where's my predictions at? Oh, there they
Underprojected.
are. I have the Giants. I have them finishing tied for first in this division, and I have a mystery team who finishes at first of this team. I'm not gonna say it yet, but I have the Giants at 93 and 69. I think that's a good record for them.
Yeah, I have them at 95 and 77. I originally had them a little bit lower, but I think about this pitching staff. I mean, obviously you got three guys, Bumgarner, Kane, and Vogelsong, who are going to be there. You pretty much know that for a fact. They've been consistent really throughout the last couple of years. Then you got Lincecum and Zito, two guys who showed flashes of, being good pitchers. If you got those guys as your 4 and 5, I mean, you are golden. Get into that bullpen. If you can get into the seventh inning, you're going to be set with that solid bullpen. Righties, lefties, good closer in Romo at the end. Maybe they could add on to it at the deadline, but I think it's solid for what it is. So I have them going 95 and 77. I actually have them in second place to a team that we'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, it's pretty much all I have to say on the Giants. So do you want to move on to the next team?
Yep. Let's go to the Dodgers. So Dodgers had a pretty interesting offseason, and their first major move was signing Ryu Hyun-jin, whatever his name is, but I guess he's going to be their third starter this year. They traded for Skip Schumacher, extended Brandon League for a few more years, so they got a really nice bullpen piece right there. They overpaid Zach Greinke this offseason big time.
Definitely.
And I think the biggest question around this team, I think they're set pretty much everywhere with offense. I mean, you have not Carl Crawford, but you have Kemp.
Yikes.
You have Kemp, Hanley Ramirez, Adrian Gonzalez, Andre Ethier, those four guys. I mean, their offense is fine, but I think the biggest question and the biggest concern for this team right now is Zach Greinke. I mean, if you put Zach Greinke in your rotation behind Kershaw and you pay him, what is it, 140 something or 160? I don't know. I don't know.
A lot of money.
It was a mega deal. And throughout this whole spring, I don't think he's even pitched this spring because
he's had that elbow problem.
Yeah, he has that elbow problem. So that's a big question for this team right now. And their rotation, I guess it's sort of deep, I guess. I mean, behind Kershaw, without Greinke, you'd have that Asian guy.
Yeah, I don't even try to pronounce his name.
Yeah.
I think it's actually Hyun-jin Ryu, or something like that.
Something like that. And then you have Billingsley, and then you got Josh Beckett and Chris Capuano. So I mean, no matter what, that rotation is still pretty good. But obviously, Zach Greinke, he's an ace, and if you have an ace as your number 2 guy, that's a really deep rotation. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens if he's not able to pitch this, or if he's going to miss some time this season, and how this rotation will do without him.
Well, certainly if Greinke does have to miss some time, they still have Aaron Hang and Chris Capuano, who, from what I've heard, they plan on keeping one as like a long reliever and trading the other. So I think they could start out the season with both those guys if Greinke does have to miss some time. And as for this team, like you said, they're set on offense. They don't really have too many holes. Even some of the guys that you might not have heard of before, like Luis Cruz, he hit like 300 last year. Mark Ellis and AJ Ellis, 2 solid players. I'm curious to see what they do with D. Gordon. Maybe they try to trade him. Seems like he's kind of stuck behind Hanley Ramirez at this point at shortstop. I don't think they're going to try and move Hanley back to third base. I think it's pretty much set that they're going to put him at shortstop. So I don't know if they try to move D. Gordon to second base or something. I think they're pretty big fan of Mark Ellis. So I don't know. I'm curious to see what they do with him. Like you said, really not too many holes in this lineup. I think Adrian Gonzalez has a bounce-back year. I think he was put in a position on the Red Sox last year where he had to be kind of a vocal leader, an emotional leader, and that's really not what Gonzalez wants to do. He just wants to be the guy who kind of sits in the back and does his thing, and his thing is hitting 300 and hitting 30 home runs. And I think the Dodgers have the most day games out of anyone outside of the Cubs this year in Major League Baseball. And you combine day games with, LA and the air and the ball. The ball's going to travel out there pretty well. So I think that you look at this offense and you see a lot of firepower. Ethier is a guy that goes under the radar every year because he's always seems like he's in Matt Kemp's shadow, but Ethier is still a solid player. I could see Crawford having a sort of bounce back year this year. I'm not too sure what he'll do. Kind of depends how he does coming off of Tommy John surgery, but either way, Hanley's Hanley. Yeah, I think he's a little bit overrated, but still, I mean, he's a good guy in the clubhouse to have. I think he'll get along with a lot of the guys. He's already been there for like half a year, so I think that's pretty, solid shortstop right there. And I like this team, and I like their pitching too. I agree that Greinke is overpaid. Greinke hasn't had a sub-3 ERA since 2009, so certainly he's not the Zach Greinke that we kind of all remember from Kansas City, but he's still a very good pitcher. And for a 2, if you can get a guy that has a 3.5 ERA, can go out, get you 200 strikeouts, probably give you close to 200 innings if he's healthy, that's pretty good for it too. So I really like Zach Greinke on this team. They certainly overpaid him. I don't think there's any denying that, but I really do like that signing. Beckett, I already mentioned how the ball is going to fly out of LA this year, so Beckett's probably going to have one of his typical Josh Beckett years where he allows 30-plus home runs. Billingsley kind of goes under the radar every year. He's slowed down a little bit in the last couple of years, but I think he's still solid. Ryu's a big question. He's Korean, I believe, so I'm not sure where he pitched exactly, but I know, the thing with Japanese pitchers is people always talk about how they work the count so much. The difference between, Major League Baseball and Japanese baseball is Japanese teams use 7-man rotations, and they have their guys pitch about once a week. So those guys go out and throw about 160 pitches per game. So they're used to working the counts, getting guys to 3-2, and then trying to get them, use all their pitches, have like 7-8 pitches, and that really doesn't translate well into the bigs. And we've never really seen an extremely successful Japanese pitcher. I think Hideo Nomo was probably the most successful one, quite frankly. But so I'm curious to see how Hyunjin Ryu does. And after that, Capuano, Harang added along. I'm sure one of those guys will get dealt.
Ted Lilly.
Yeah, Ted Lilly too. I like this bullpen too. Kenley Jansen's a good young guy. Brandon League, solid closer. Javi Guerra, young guy. JP Howell, lefty specialist. I do like this team. I think it's a good team, and I think that I'll get into my predictions in a little bit. But yeah, I really like this team this year. I think that they're not going to be on the level of the Nationals, the Angels, but I think they're going to be on the next level below that, in my opinion.
I'd agree with that. Just like you said, I'm kind of curious to see what they do with D. Gordon over there at shortstop. I don't know how Mark Ellis did last year, but I'm assuming he did pretty well if he's gonna be starting over D.
Yeah, it
D.
seems
Gordon
like it's
over
no
at second.
competition between them two. So I imagine they really like what Mark Ellis has been doing.
I guess. I'm pretty sure D. Gordon's like really fast, if I can remember correctly.
Yeah, he's like the fastest guy in baseball.
Yeah, so
But it's like 200. That's his problem.
yeah, so I don't know what they're gonna do with him yet. We'll see. We'll see about that. So
Yeah, Ellis
mean,
hit 258 last year, so I don't know. Maybe they just kind of gave up on D. Gordon.
I don't know why he would. I like D. Gordon.
Yeah, I know. I like him too. I think he's got a lot of potential.
He's a potential. All right, so
Definitely.
let's get into our predictions. So I'll go first again because I'm a beast.
Yeah, of
I
course.
have the Dodgers at 92 and 70. I think I'd pick them to win this division, but I'd never like these type of superstar teams after during their first full year, and with them adding Greinke, and they only had Gonzalez for half a year and Beckett and Crawford. I don't like picking teams that win divisions right away, so I'm putting them at 92 and 70, which is a pretty good shot at a wild card.
Yeah, I actually have them winning this division at 96 and 66. I'm curious to see how Don Mattingly handles all these types of egos in the clubhouse. But if he does a good job, I think this team's set. I think they're going to be a World Series contender this year. I don't know if they'll make it or not. That's going to be kind of the point of next week's podcast. But I really do like this team. I think it's a team with World Series potential. And like I said, I give them 96 wins, and I give them the division title.
All right, so let's move on to the Arizona Diamondbacks. So, do you think I should talk about this one?
I think you should, because I know you like this team.
All right, so Arizona Diamondbacks have officially become one of my, most under the radar teams that's going to do well this year. And I'm not crazy for predicting them to win this division because Buster only did it too. So, obviously, there's something to this. So, the Diamondbacks offseason traded Justin Upton and Chris Johnson for Martin Prado, Randall Delgado, and then they also extended Prado for a few years. They signed Cliff Pennington. They traded Trevor Bauer to Cleveland for Didi Gregorius, which is their shortstop prospect, and then lefty specialist Tony Stipp. They extended their closer J.J. Putz. They signed Cody Ross. They signed Brandon McCarthy, signed Eric Chavez, and they picked up Heath Bell while trading Chris Young away to Oakland. So the reason I'm so high on this team is because if you can trade Justin Upton and you can still call yourself a really good ball club, I think that you definitely know what you're doing. So with this Justin Upton trade, they got a really good piece back with Martin Prado. I think that was a really
I
good
love
move right
Prado.
there.
He's so
I know,
good.
I love Prado too. And their outfield, look at that, Jason Kubel, Cody Ross, and Adam Eaton. Now, you guys probably haven't heard of Adam Eaton yet, but Apparently, this guy is going to be really good this year. I guess he hits for a really nice average. He's really speedy. I guess he's going to be at the top of the lineup. So they have a really nice outfield with like I said, Kubel, and if Ross can be as good as he has been, or at least when he was in the 2008 2009 World Series, I think it
10.
was 10.
That whole second half.
I'm so bad with
Yeah,
the
you're awful.
years.
You're terrible. You should probably quit YouTube.
Garbage. So, and then if you look at the rest of their offense, you have like I said, Prado, you have Pennington, which Pennington's a little bit of a question, but then you have Aaron Hill, who he hit for 2 cycles last year, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that. So then you have Paul Goldschmidt and Miguel Montero. So I think this offense is one of the most underrated offenses in the league. I think they have a bunch of guys who can all hit for a good average, and they can all score some runs and drive in some runs. I think that's a good offense, but the thing I like the most about this team, for whatever reason, is their pitching. Because you got Ian Kennedy, Brandon McCarthy, Trevor Cahill, Wade Miley, Patrick Corbin, or any combination of any of these guys. Because they also have Tyler Skaggs, who just got optioned to AAA today, unfortunately. Daniel Hudson, who I don't know when he's going to return from injury, but I think it's going to be sometime this season. Daniel Hudson is really underrated. And then you have Randall Delgado. So I think this rotation, they all have a lot of really above average guys who can all, they're going to limit the runs scored against them. And if you combine that with this really nice offense of theirs, I don't see why this team can't succeed at all. Then finally, you go to the bullpen. You got J.J. Putz, who's been really, really nice. David Hernandez, who's a really good setup man. You got Brad Ziegler, and then you have Heath Bell, who I don't know how Heath Bell's going to do anymore, but if he's what he was like with the Padres a couple years ago, then there's no reason that he'll have another good year. And then you have Tony Sipp, who is going to be nice with left-handed specialist. So I love this team.
Yeah, I mean, he almost convinced me right here to pick them to win the division, but I'm going to stick with my prediction. I really do like this team. They have a solid offense. I'm not going to put it up there as a I mean, it's a good offense.
It's not as good as the Angels.
Certainly. That's hard to do, though. It's a good offense. It's certainly not a great offense. I don't think Cody Ross is going to succeed like he did last year. I think he did really benefit from being in a situation where he, was able to, when he played in San Francisco, he always hit these pop-ups that would go to deep left field, and they would just be pop-outs, and he hit like 250. Last year, all those pop-ups turned into doubles off the green monster, and some of them even got over, and that's how he hit 20-plus home runs or whatever. So I know that the ball travels pretty well in Arizona, but I don't think he's going to have the year yet last year. I really was wishing the Red Sox would just re-sign him, and Johnny Gomes, God damn it. And I really do like Adam Beane. From what I've heard, he's out of camp. He's looked really good this year. He's going to be pretty much the replacement for Justin Upton, kind of combined with Cody Ross. But I really do like Adam Beane. I think he's going to be pretty good this year. I could see him hitting around 280 or so, and being really good at the top of that lineup. Jason Kubel was pretty good last year. Cliff Pennington I believe they acquired him in the Chris Young deal too. Aaron Hill, good. Goldschmidt, still room to grow for him. I really like Martin Prado, 300 hitter, can play anywhere on the diamond pretty much. I'm in love with Martin Prado. Miguel Montero's solid, but what really, really does make me like this team is their pitching rotation, and this might be, it's certainly, I think it's easily the deepest rotation in Major League Baseball, and I mean, Brandon McCarthy was the ace for a playoff team last year in the A's. Now he's likely their 5 if Daniel Hudson gets healthy. I mean, that's crazy. Kennedy, and there's not much to say about Kennedy. He's their ace of the staff. He's probably not what he was that year. He was in Cy Young contention, but still a very good pitcher. Cale, young, a lot of room to grow. Miley, young, a lot of room to grow. McCarthy, he's probably peaked. He's like 29, 30 years old, but he's a very good pitcher. He goes under the radar the last couple of years. Really, ever since 2011, he's been a very good pitcher. Skaggs, young guy. Delgado, young guy. Hudson, when he gets back, he's really underrated. The thing I love about this rotation the most is that it got so much room to grow. I mean, Kennedy's still pretty young. Cahill, Hudson, Skaggs, Delgado, Miley, Corbin.
All these guys are under 30 years old.
Yeah, I mean, it's nuts. This team has so much room to grow. It's like this pitching rotation has, like, the sky is the limit for this pitching rotation. It's so deep. It does have potential star power. And, I'm in love with this rotation. I'm not in love with their offense. I think that's the one thing they might need to address later on in the season. But even when you get to their bullpen, J.J. Putz, very good closer. Not much to say about him. David Hernandez, one of the more under-the-radar relievers in baseball. He's really had a good couple years, the past couple years. Heath Bell, I think that Heath Bell's going to have a bounce-back season. I think that he's finally away from Ozzie Guillen. I think that was the big thing for him. I just think he didn't really get along with the coaching in Miami. He just didn't like the situation. I think he's going to be better in Arizona. He's back in the NL West, which is the division he did so well with when he was on the Padres, so he's kind of familiar with some of the guys
Just like
in this
Adrian
division.
Gonzalez.
Huh?
Just like Adrian Gonzalez.
Yeah, he used to be Adrian Gonzalez's teammate. Tony Stipp, left-handed specialist, something pretty much every team needs. Ziegler, I love Ziegler. He's one of my favorite players. Cole Mentor, it's like impossible to hit off of in MLB The Show because I hate his goddamn windup, but he's really good. This pitching rotation is going to carry this team throughout the year. I'm not sure how their hitting's going to do, but I think this team, it's a good team with that rotation. I think that rotation can carry them to playoff contention.
I agree with that. Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, like you said, all these guys are under 30. All of them have a ton of room to grow. All of these guys are paid under $7 million, I believe. I think the only one that earned $7 million this year is like Cahill. I think everyone else is like under $2 million.
That's nuts.
With their salary. So
that's Moneyball right there.
Yeah, Kevin Towers ball right there. So, yeah, with the offense, with the offense, I think the only question is Jason Kubel and Cody Ross, the corners of the outfield. I mean, Jason Kubel had a nice year last year, but I don't know if
he's an old guy. You never know what's going to happen with a guy like that.
Yeah, and then like you said with Cody Ross, I didn't really think of that with his how he did last year, those doubles he does hit off the monster. I did kind of forget about those, but still, I mean, Cody Ross is back in the NL West as well, so maybe he'll do a little bit better. I don't know. So, anyways, let's get to our predictions for this team. I'll let you go first.
All right, I have the Diamondbacks winning 89 games this year, going 89-73. Like I said, they're going to be in playoff contention. I think they're going to finish third in this division. I think they are going to get beat up a little bit because this division is so tough. And, they have great pitching, but so do the Giants and even the Dodgers. The Dodgers don't have as great of pitching as the Diamondbacks, but I think that it's enough to kind of give them the edge in this kind of matchup or so. So I don't really know how to word that, but anyway, I do really like the Diamondbacks. I just think they're kind of stuck in a tough division, and I think that they are going to finish third.
I have the Diamondbacks tying for the division lead at the end of the season. I don't know why I decided to predict this, but I have them at 93-69, just like the Giants, and they're gonna finish one game ahead of the Dodgers. I don't know why I decided to put them tying, but I don't know. I think this division is just so close together, and it's such a deep division. So.
Yep. All right. I just wanted to say that. All right, so should we move on to another team that I'm pretty sure you're pretty big, you like this team this year.
Yeah, for whatever reason, I almost picked this team to win the division.
All right, calm down.
I liked them 2 years ago, or 2 or 3 years ago when they almost made the playoffs.
Yeah, I remember that year. They were good that year.
Yeah, they lost in that last game of the season.
We should probably actually talk about the team. Yeah, we're talking about the San Diego Padres. Now, the Padres, I'll talk about them. They had an extremely quiet offseason. They kind of quietly shopped around Chase Headley for Justin Upton. Headley's the guy that they want to extend, but the Padres don't have the biggest budget in the world. Headley's going to, require a lot of money. He's the guy he's one of the best hitters in baseball. Young guy, entering his first kind of free agency type of period. And then they did some minor moves. They signed Jason Marquis to kind of add depth to that rotation. But this is a team that, much like the A's, kind of has to deal with a low budget. They can't make any big offseason moves, really. They have a very low payroll this year. It's a team that is going to try and build off of the success that they had late last year. I think you said they had one of the better records in baseball towards the end of the second half last year, and it's a good
they
team.
Were on fire.
Yeah, I mean, Headley, probably the best player on this team.
Carlos Quinn.
Yeah, Carlos Quinn, just good guy. He's been good in the past. He's been solid for the Padres so far. They almost traded him last year, but he's really looking good. They extended him, I believe, actually for another 3 years or something like that. So he's pretty valuable to them. Cameron Maybin's a guy who, hopefully he can put it together for these guys. He's been a top prospect for his entire career, and he just hasn't seemed to be able to put it together. Will Venables solid out there and right. Everett Cabrera, I believe, led the NL in steals last year.
Yeah.
Yonder Alonso, guy with a lot of potential. Nick Hundley behind the plate. I really hope they give Yasmani Grandal a lot of playing time. I think he's suspended, right?
Yeah, he's suspended for 50 games for pets.
Yeah, I do. I hope they give him some playing time when he comes back up. I really do like Yasmani Grandal. He's got a ton of power. He hit 4 home runs in his first 6 at bats in the bigs last year. Even if he was on PEDs, that's still pretty impressive. But the rotation is the only thing that concerns me about this team. They've got some guys that are going to be competing for the last few spots. Clayton Richard, Edison Volquez, definitely going to be there for the top 2 guys most likely. Then you kind of get past that. You got Jason Marquis, I believe Eric Stoltz, Freddie Garcia, and Andrew Kashner, a few other guys, but I do hope they call up and let Casey Kelly pitch a little bit this year.
Love him.
I believe he was coming off of Tommy John surgery.
I saw him pitch last year. I watched his major league debut in like
Yeah, I watched that game
September,
too.
so he looked nice.
Yeah, I really like him. I mean, I didn't, he was involved in the Adrian Gonzalez trade originally. He was on the Red Sox and was dealt along with Rizzo and a few other guys. And I really never heard of him until last year. And when I watched him pitch, his stats might be a little bit deceiving. I believe his ERA was like maybe over 5, is at least over 4. I remember that much. But I liked his stuff. I mean, he's a good pitcher. I don't know if he's ever going to be an ace type pitcher, but I really like Kelly, and I think that they should let him pitch this year, especially when you're looking at a guy like Freddie Garcia potentially being your 5. I think you got to let Kelly, if he shows what he can do, if he starts out in AAA or whatever. If you can show what he does, then throw him in the rotation because I don't think they have anything to lose. I think he's major league ready. I think that he's going to. I think he's going to be a good pitcher in the bigs, and I like his bullpen too. I mean, Houston Street's solid closer. Luke Gregerson, very good last year. I always forget this guy's first name, but Boxberger.
Brad.
Yeah, Brad Boxberger.
Brad Boxberger.
He's solid. I like this bullpen too. It's solid. It's not very deep, but it's decent. There's really not much else to say about it. So this is a good team. Gonna try and, like I said, build off of the success that they had last year towards the end of the year. And, maybe make a run at a 500 ball club. I don't see them contending for the playoffs this year. I think that still might be a little bit ways away with some of the young guys who do have one of the better farm systems in baseball. So that's really exciting for the future for them. But I do think that I don't think they're going to do anything this year in terms of playoffs.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they have one of the deepest farm systems, but I'm pretty sure I read a little thing about them, and I guess their farm system is deep, but like there's no like really stars in there.
It doesn't seem like it, yeah.
Yeah, like they don't have like a bunch of like Garrett Coles. They don't have a bunch of I don't know,
Jackie Bradley,
Travis d'Arnaud. So, I mean, yeah, I guess their farm system is pretty deep, and I don't know what types of players will come out of that. If they're just gonna be like a bunch of role players that'll play every day but not be stars. If they'll have a few Yasmani Grandols, I don't know, something like that. But this team on the field as of right now, they're pretty young. I mean, Yonder Alonso and Grandal are pretty young. Headley, I think he's actually 28.
Yeah, he's 28, I believe. I think sounds about right.
Yeah, and I think Quinn's 28 as well. Cameron Maben's like 25, 26.
He's still so young. It's amazing. He's been around for so long.
I remember last year, Cameron Maben, he hit a home run, and I think he hit it 480 feet to like deep center or something like that.
Yeah.
It was crazy. So
the guy's got potential. Just filling it out. Kind of a problem.
I guess I agree with you on the fact that Cameron Maben still has a lot of potential to go, and he has a lot of room to grow. But I think it's winding down. I think he needs to get it together soon, or else I don't know what they're gonna do with him. But I mean, there's really not much to say about this team, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, they just didn't do enough to really warrant a big discussion about them. Mm-hmm. So I guess should we move on to our predictions?
Yeah.
All right, I'll go first on this one. I have the Padres winning 76 games. This is a team that probably could play 500 ball if they live up to kind of what I think that they can do. But I just, their pitching's a little bit weak, and they're going to get beat up in a tough division. And, even the worst team in this division, the Rockies, is going to beat up on that rotation. So I just don't see this team playing 500 baseball in this division, in this specific kind of schedule that they're going to end up playing. But I think it's a solid team. It's probably better than a 76-win team, but it's just based off of their circumstances that I only give them 76 wins.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they can play 500 ball, so I have them right around that area. I have them at 79 and 83. They had a really good second half of the season. I remember they were a few games out of the playoff spot in like early September, but then they really fell off. But still, they showed some signs of life, and they showed that they can, I don't know, maybe they can play some money ball, just like they did a few years ago when they came out of nowhere and almost won this division. And
that was the year the Giants won the World Series.
Yeah,
they
if
almost
they would have won
beat
the division. The Giants wouldn't have won that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's move to the cellar dweller of the division, the Colorado Rockies.
All right, you can talk about them.
Yep, so the Rockies, they received Ryan Wheeler, who's a third base prospect, and I guess he had a really good minor league season last year, so if he has another good season, he might be called up to help their third base problem. They signed Wilton Lopez, he's a relief pitcher. They hired Walt Weiss as their manager, signed Jeff Francis, and that's pretty much it. I think Troy Tulowitzki is going to return from injury, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, he was healthy. I saw him playing spring training the other day.
So, yeah, I mean, you seem like you sort of like this roster, or at least the offense of them.
Well, I just, I think if you put decent hitters in that stadium, it's going to be a pretty decent offense. For the past 2 years now, this team's thing has been pitching, and they certainly didn't do anything to improve that this year. I mean, they signed Jeff Francis, but come on, is that really gonna? That's not gonna do anything for your rotation. They're kind of banking on some young guys. I know they have Helios Chacin, who they're really high on. He's gonna be hopefully healthy this year. He only pitched like 11 starts last year, so hopefully he can be healthy. Juan Nicasio, another guy who's pretty young. They're hoping that he can, kind of improve this year. Drew Pomeranz is a guy they got in the Ubaldo Jimenez deal. They're getting pretty high on him recently. I think he's kind of improved in their eyes in terms of his potential. And then Jorge De La Rosa and Jeff Francis, a few veterans that are probably going to be in that rotation. I like this offense. I mean, Cargo and Tulowitzki, two guys who, can be all-stars if they play up to how they've played recently. Willen Rosario, the guy who I think should have won NL Rookie of the Year last year. I think he had almost 30 home runs as a catcher, which is really good. Todd Helton definitely regressing along with Michael Kadire, but Kadire still had a solid year last year. Helton not so much. Rutledge is a good young player. I really like Josh Rutledge. I hope that he can kind of excel at the major league level this year after he was called up. It's kind of a big deal when he was called up, I remember. But Dexter Fowler, guy who really started to come into his own last year, kind of reminds me of B.J. Upton. A guy with a lot of potential to be a five-tool type of player. Doesn't seem to really be filling out, but I think that he can kind of come up late, kind of like what B.J. Upton did when, we remember Upton hitting 20-plus home runs last year, and it was kind of the first time we'd seen signs of life from him in a while, and I think that Fowler has the potential to do something similar to that. As he does enter that stage of his career, he's going to be getting towards free agency, I believe. I think he was in arbitration this year, so I think free agency is coming up for him. So I like this offense. It's a good offense. You mentioned Ryan Wheeler. He can solve their third base problem potentially. It's a good offense, but like I said, the thing that's going to kill this team is their pitching. Rafael Betancourt's probably their closer. Don't really like that. Their bullpen's all right. I like Rex Brothers. Matt Belisle's okay. Outman, Lopez, it's whatever. I don't see... I just don't see this team's pitching being good enough to compete with anyone, at least this year, outside of the Astros and the Cubs and the Marlins and those type of teams. So, what do you think about them?
Well, I noticed that Cargo really quietly hit 300 last year. I didn't know that.
Oh, he always does. He almost won the Triple Crown like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I remember that, but I haven't heard from him since. So, yeah, I mean, I guess you are right in the aspect that they do play at Coors Field, so they do have some opportunity for some extra offense, or at least a little bit of better chances at some home runs there. But like you said, pitching is gonna kill this team. This team kind of reminds me of the Indians, except that their pitching is like 10 times worse.
Oh, maybe like 100 times worse.
I mean, yeah. I definitely agree with you. And that Ubaldo Jimenez trade hasn't really panned out very well. I mean, Alex White, I haven't even seen him yet.
That's a type of trade that hasn't worked out for either team at this point.
Pretty much. Drew Pomeranz is going to be the third guy, so I don't know what Drew Pomeranz was even expected to do, but I guess maybe third is going to be his height. So
he's got potential this year. He's got potential.
Guess I do agree with you with what you said with Tulowitzki and Carlos Gonzalez and Rosario and Fowler. I guess that is a decent offense. I'll give you that, but just like you said, there's no pitching for this team, and it's gonna cost them.
Yeah, definitely.
Is that it?
Yeah, I think so. So we move on to our predictions?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. You can go first on this one.
I have the Rockies hitting dead even at 62-100. I think they're going to lose 100 games this year. Even though that might be a little bit of a stretch. I don't know if they'll lose 100 games, but it'll be close, I think. But, I don't think there's going to be much of this team. There's no pitching for them, but they do have a decent offense, so.
Yeah, I have this team getting 66 wins, 66 and 96, bettering themselves by 2 games last year. I think it's a team that's going to improve a little bit. They got some young guys coming up. Hopefully their pitching can stay healthy. And like I said, I like their offense. I like the fact that they're playing Coors Field. That's going to help that offense a little bit. And I think this is a team that it's going to get beat up in this division a little bit, but I still see them winning 66 games, which probably you guys don't think is very much. But I don't know, for a team that's been the cell dweller for the last few years, it's not a bad season. So I think 66 wins, 96 losses, and last place in that division.
All right, so that's going to do it for the NL West. I think it's one of the more interesting divisions in the league. So
it's got 4 teams that I think could really surprise some people. Well, 2 teams that could surprise some people, and 2 teams that I think everyone kind of knows are going to be decent this year.
I agree with that. So next week is going to be our final episode. We're going to be doing our awards and our, I guess, playoff scenarios, I think.
Yeah, so I guess, we're going to be doing things like projected who we think is going to win the World Series picks, I guess awards like MVP, Cy Young, stuff like that. I don't know. We'll just kind of talk about, what we think is going to happen this season, I guess. Kind of be like a recap of everything that we talked about and just like a finale for this short little series that we've done.
All right, so that's gonna do it for this episode. Do you have any final words?
Not really. It's going to be a good division, guys. I look out for the NL West. I like it.
True.
True.
So, all right, that's
Boy.
gonna do it for this. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you guys check out our channels, like the video, and comment. I'll put the over and under for the Rockies at 65.5. So, all right, we'll see you guys next week for the final for the finale.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and peace.